Good morning, beautiful people. Hmm. Hello, beautiful people. Forgive me. Um, I may cough and have to wipe my nose a couple times during today's class, but shouldn't I had my daughter? I should have had my daughter go get a box of Kleenex out of my car. She may be watching. I was 1 minute late logging on today. Good morning, beautiful people. All right, I got a lot to go over today. Um, and Panama, I got this beautiful cup from Panama, right? I bought two of them, one for me, one for my husband, right? Happy Sunday. Thank you. It's snow. There is, if my, you look out my door, there is literal snow on the ground in Texas. It's beautiful. I'm from Minnesota. Remember that. So this is nothing to me. I laugh at this. My daughter yesterday, we went to the store and everything in Texas is like cleared out. And we're laughing at all the things that they hoard here when there's bad weather. Like they took all the hot dogs. We don't eat hot dogs, but we just noticed all the hot dogs were gone and eggs. The store was completely out of eggs, as well as fruits and vegetables and other things. And graham crackers. They took all the graham crackers, all the marshmallows. It's hilarious. But my daughter says to me, um, it's funny living in Texas and growing up with you because you're from Minnesota, so you like laugh in the face of danger. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Anyway, it's cold and snowy here. I have something to tell you all, okay? I may cough a couple times. I may need to pause to blow my nose. Bear with me. COVID did not only give me this beautiful, I mean, COVID, Panama did not only give me this beautiful cup, it gave me COVID and the flu. I have COVID and the flu right now. So bear with me if I hack up a lung or I have to blow my nose, whatever. You had to go to my page, TikTok. Oh, you know what? I figured something was up because I usually see more people in the live when I started, and it took a while for folks to get here. So If you can share the live, that would help get the word out that I'm live. Um, all right. I so wish you guys could talk back to me. I mean, I guess you can, but we're not there yet. Anyway, we'll get to that part of the class. I'm gonna take a nose break really quick. I am so sorry to have to do this on live. Here, I'll take my headphones out. Maybe that'll help it not be so terrible. Oh my goodness. All right. Again, remember, Panama not only gave me this beautiful cup and a couple outfits I bought. Oh, my husband bought me a watch. There's a few things we got from Panama, but I was also blessed with COVID and the flu. But don't nothing stop me. Boo. Okay? Remember that. Okay, so uh our first week we talked about what the Bible is really. Excuse me. And I told you it was a map of consciousness, okay? Then last week we talked about um, God as creation, I'm sorry, God as consciousness and not authority. Well, this week we're going to take a look at Eden and the emergence, containment, and the first captivity. Because whether or not you understand this, you are locked in a mental prison, and that prison is called Eden. Um, First, I want to read some of my teacher's notes on Eden and what I'm so sorry. Again, forgive me. I know this is not good to cough and hack up lungs on live, but I'm sick. Okay, so deal with it. Okay, so I want to read some of my teacher's notes. Can everybody hear me okay? First of all, let's start there. If I could stop having to. Yes, okay, perfect. This making that noise is such a pet peeve for me, and the fact that I have to do it is like nails on a chalkboard, okay? So I'm gonna try my best not to do it, but you got to give me another second, please. I'm so very. Mm, let's try this again. We got to get through this lesson because it's good, okay? All right. So first, I want to go over some of my teacher's notes on what he says about eating Eden in his book Cipher of Genesis. A lot of people ask me, "How did you learn this?" I started reading Cipher of Genesis. I started there, and then I got all my teacher's books, and then I began. What you'll learn about the language is that um, it builds upon itself because it is a living structure. It is a living being. It is constantly growing and expanding itself. So what you learn in the basics, like in my teacher's book, uh, 5 years from now, it will have expanded itself exponentially, and you'll see that the language incorporates everything, every facet of life, um, and that it dictates everything around. To learn the language first in order to be able to see that. And more importantly, in order to read that amazing text that we call the good old Bible. Okay. Don't be sorry. We're happy you're here despite your. Thank you. Okay. So, first, we're going to go over my teacher's notes on Eden. And again, this can be found in his book, The Cipher of Genesis. Just what is the Garden of Eden? It can be seen by reading one by one all the letter numbers which describe it, okay? And that means to break down the name Gad Eden. Um, by each letter, you can read the energetic code of each letter, and it will describe to you what the word Gan Eden, or as translated Garden of Eden, actually means, okay? Um, all the letter numbers which describe it That is one of the most dangerous places in the whole world, Gan Eden. It's Gimel, Noon, Ain, Dalit, Noon. The numbers 70 and 700, which are can be found in Noon and then the uh, Noon at the end. There's two noons. Um, the numbers 70 and 700 are those of destruction of obsolete structures. In fact, life understood totally is in Genesis repeatedly said to live to be life death. The life to which Adam is called is a series of destructions and new beginnings. Allegorically, life is saying all the time that this germ of humanity must always be prevented from achieving perfect perfection, protection, and shelter. If ever it should find a fixed refuge, a comfortable stability, it would settle down lazily into a subhuman human species. It would become one of these side shoots off the tree of life. Okay. What he is describing here is kind of a little bit, we went over this a little bit last week, but remember how I described, and I have many times, how bees will be bees, right? It will take billions and billions of years of evolution for a bee to become something other than a bee. So we would call that a static life. It's stuck in the realm of doing bee shit, okay? Same with antelope, same with grass, same with almond trees, right? Um, from the perspective of the language, those are all premature births of consciousness. It does not mean they are not conscious. What it does mean is they are unable to self actualize. Why? Because they are stuck. In previous videos, I've said that nature is beautiful, but it is hiding a very deceptive secret. And that secret is that all of that beauty that the world contains and how it works together in harmony to create air and clean water, and you know how ants clean the forest, and you know all of that stuff, right? It's deceptively beautiful because you see the cooperation, you see the beauty of nature, the beauty of flowers, the beauty of a little bird riding on an elephant's back, right? But what you don't see is something that the language gives you the vision to be able to see, which is that these are all premature births of consciousness, okay? For millennia after millennia, consciousness has um, tried very, very hard to give birth to a living being which could self actualize. That self actualization can happen in only one species which the earth has given birth to, and that is the human. Okay. And what my teacher is saying here is Gan Eden is the place that consciousness, the human consciousness, is placed so that it does not settle into beehood or elephanthood or almond treehood. Does that make sense? The human mind cannot settle, or it becomes a subhuman species. It never evolves to awaken. And so it's put through a series. If you've ever wondered why the hell life has to be so hard, it's consciousness, the consciousness of the human is put through a series of blows. Those blows can be found in the word Gan Eden or Garden of Eden. Those two noons, if you look in the word Gan Eden is spelled again, Gimel Noon, Ain Dalit Noon, right? And Ain, in according to the language, is the devil. If you didn't know that, what we've traditionally called the devil. The devil is also the awakening, according to the language. It's not a creature that's out to get you. It's the language. As you're learning the language, you understand what Ain is, what the devil is. So in the word Gan Eden, you have two noons, right? And those noons are the destruction of obsolete structures. One is in the form 70 because each letter number, I know some of this is going to be over some of y'all's head, but I do have students here that do know what this means. So I'm going to go over this quickly for them. You have the two noons, right? One is at 70, one is at 700. Now, remember, those noons are the destruction of obsolete structures. And in between those noons, so you have Gimel, an uncontrolled movement, you have Noon, destruction of obsolete structures, then you have Ain, the devil, and then you have Dalit, resistance, and then you have Noon, the cosmic destruction of obsolete structures. That final noon there is 700, right? And so this is why we say that the Garden of Eden is actually the most dangerous place on the planet. It's the most dangerous place in the cosmos because it's the place that human consciousness is seated and goes through a series of turmoils of destruction of obsolete structures, which we're going through that process in mass right now. And this has happened many, many times. Um, and the point is now, what will we build from the destruction that we're creating around us, right? We will for sure evolve, which means we will repeat a cycle. But what cycle? How will we fertilize the energy of the time to create something different? Which is why I'm teaching these classes, so we have the opportunity. Give me just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. I have an Okay, hopefully that fixed the alarm. Okay, so Gan Eden, my husband is about to walk through the door, y'all. So hopefully my dog doesn't go crazy. But if he does, just know it's just my man coming home. All right. According to my teacher's book, Gan Eden is the place um, where the uh, human consciousness is put to develop, and it has to go through a series of turmoils so that it doesn't settle and become a subhuman species. It doesn't wake up. Okay, if you've ever wondered why life is so freaking hard. All right, let's see. Reflect for a moment, this is from my teacher's book again. Reflect for a moment how certain tribes have remained undeveloped on account of a too pleasant or too severe climate, or even from a psychological or physiological causes. Oscar, relax. Thus, he can't help himself whenever somebody comes to the door. It could be me, and he will still bark. Thus, as they have become fixed in their mode of living, their faculty of adaptation has ceased to function, and they are totally overwhelmed if they come in contact with the maelstrom of life in the 20th century, right? Good morning. So what my teacher is describing is just what I said earlier. Humans are placed in a psychological environment where they cannot settle, so that they are pushed to self-actualize. Thank you for making it, by the way. Okay, so this week we're going to go over Eden as emergence and Eden as emergence, containment, and the first captivity. All right, so I have a lot to go over, okay? That's the first thing. I have 20 pages of notes this class. Generally, I have 4. So hold on to your seats. We're going to be here for a while, hopefully not too long. But I do want to say this. If we have time at the end of today's lesson, I want to go over how the myth of Eden and the myth of Cain and Abel is playing itself out so you can see it in real time in Minneapolis, because this story it literally just happened yesterday. again, okay? Because the thing that you have to understand about these stories is they are archetypes that keep inflicting themselves on our societies because we're not learning the lesson of the archetype. So I want to paint a clear picture at the end of class so that you can see how these energetic forces are playing themselves out right now in my hometown, Minneapolis. And then maybe you'll see um, once you can spot it one place, you can see it everywhere. Then you'll see it in your town. You'll see it in what's going on in your town. But because the eyes of the world are on Minneapolis right now, once again, because of what they are doing there, um, I want to go over that in more detail at the end of class. So we will go through our normal class. Yes, I did say that Minneapolis was going to be the mecca of change because this change I saw in a inner vision, I don't even know, 15 years ago. And I posted it on Facebook because we didn't have TikTok then. Okay. But maybe it was 20 years. It was a long time ago. But I posted this inner vision that I had that this was going to happen and it was going to start in Minneapolis. And it's starting again. It happened with George Floyd, and now it's going to happen again. Um, the thing is, will we listen to the lesson that these stories, these ancient stories, keep playing out over and over again? If we can see, then maybe we can um, feel the pattern of the time and then make different choices, okay? Because we keep repeating it because we keep making the same choices. That's going to be at the end of class. So if you can stick around for that, great. If not, you'll have to watch the YouTube video once I post it, okay? Um, okay, give me just 1 second because um is uh is he about to do something? Okay. All right. I'm teaching class, son. Sorry, my son just came down and that's rare. He's normally knocked out. Ugh, I feel something in my lungs. I'm so sorry. But I gotta clear it out. Okay. All right. So what I want you to understand about Eden as we go into this is that it is a psychological spell. Okay. Y'all hear me say that a lot because it's true. And that spell keeps your consciousness caged in a boundary that doesn't allow you to react naturally. Now, why would you be caged? Every cage is a womb, which we will get to later in the class. So let me go over these notes. First of all, Eden was not a gift. That's the thing we need to understand. We're taught that Eden was this beautiful garden. And as I've shown you by breaking down the letters of the word Gan Eden, that is not at all what that story is about. Okay. Most people believe the Garden of Eden is a beautiful place we were expelled from, and that humanity's great longing is to return there. But according to the language of the emanations of energy and revived Kabbalah, that is backwards. Eden is not paradise. Eden is the most dangerous place on earth. Eden is where the germ of humanity was placed to be forced into becoming something it was not yet ready to be. Okay. Now, last week we talked about a cycle. There's a ladder, and this is a ladder of consciousness. So we're going to be dealing with rung 4 of that ladder today, which would be Dalit in the language. Dalit is resistance. Resistance is necessary for development. Okay. Weeks 1 and 2, we talked about Aleph as undifferentiated potential. Week 3, we talked about Bayit or awareness recognizing itself. And today we're going to talk about the what happens with the collapse into Gimel, because Gimel is an uncontrolled movement, and how that gives birth to Dalit or resistance. Okay. Eden is what happens when awareness awakens but cannot yet hold freedom. Eden is not the beginning of life. Eden is the beginning of containment of life. So Genesis 1 is not about command. When you read that book in the Bible, I know it says, and God said, and God said, and God said, right? But that's not what that story is building at all. It's actually showing you something else. There's no hierarchy that exists yet in the story. Reality emerges through differentiation, and light appears before law, and light appears before the sun. So scientifically, we know that this cannot be true. You have um, evening and morning in the first day. How could there be a morning and there was no sun created yet? Just something to think about. Um, hold on one second. Antonio, Antonio. I'm sorry, you guys. I can hear them being so loud. Husband, I have two Antonios in the house. I need you guys to quiet down because I can hear everything you're saying. Hello? Hello? You guys are too loud. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Um, where did I leave off? Eden is not the beginning of life. Eden is the beginning of containment. Okay. I went over that already. But emergence creates a problem, right? Once awareness differentiates, it must be held or it collapses. It collapses into what? Not into oblivion. It collapses into the state of nature. When you look out, again, as I tried to describe earlier, when you look out into nature, it appears beautiful, but these are collapsed, um, collapsed levels, collapsed dimensions is a better word of consciousness. All right. And this is where Eden enters the picture. Um, Adam, the first two verbs that change everything in the story of creation and the story of Adam and Eve, um, are going to change the way that you see that book. Many of you don't know what these words mean, even in the Hebrew text. And Hebrew is a desecration of the language, by the way. Okay, so when I say Aleph, Tov, Ra, and all, I'm not using Hebrew per se. I'm using the language that's hidden under Hebrew, which is the language of the emanations of energy, your native tongue. Okay. Um, in Genesis 2:15, I'm going to paraphrase this. Adam is placed in the garden to dress and to keep it, is what the text tells us, right? Now, when most people hear that, they believe that it's like gentle gardening or stewardship or peace, right? But even in the profane rendering of that story, which is the Hebrew, it says something completely different, okay? Abad, which is translated as to dress, means, okay? It does not mean gentle cultivation. Abad means forced labor. Adam is placed in the garden by force to labor, okay? They don't teach you that in Sunday school, but you can pick up any concordance, Jana Strong's concordance. I recommend Blue Letter Bible. Blue Letter Bible has its own concordance, and you can get hundreds of different variations of the Bible. But then you can look up these words and see what the story is telling you in Hebrew. And it's a completely different perspective than what you learn in Sunday school. Now, let me explain this. That word abad, which means forced labor, okay, is the same verb that's used for slavery in Egypt. So when the Jews are enslaved in Egypt in that story, the word there used is abad. Same Hebrew word, right? Same root is used for servitude under a master, okay? And the same word is used for bondage in the text. Adam is not enjoying Eden according to the language of the emanations of energy. Now, you have to realize that whenever your mind sees Adam as a man, you have digressed into profane thinking. So I just dropped down right there to prove a point about this story, okay? Because Adam is not a man, but we'll get there, okay? Adam is enslaved in the garden. In revived Kabbalah terms, abad equals dalit, which is resistance. Consciousness is forced into form. Now, how many of you have ever thought, I didn't ask to be here? I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask to be brought to life. I know a lot of children nowadays, the younger generation is big on that. I've seen quite a few TikToks where they're like, my parents should take care of me forever because I didn't ask to be here. I see some hands up, right? You've thought that so many times, right? Because you didn't. You were forced into Gan Eden. Do you see my point? Consciousness, which is what you are in actuality, is forced into form. It's forced into form. The particle self must serve the cycle, and that is your physical body. That would be matter, okay? Birth, decay, survival, repetition. That's the form that human life and all life, for that matter, is forced into, okay? Not a beautiful garden. Eden is the labor field where consciousness is pressed into individuation instead of just being. Exactly, Alicia. You are forced to claim you are male, female, black, white, native, not native, Spanish speaking, not Spanish speaking. And what's your sexual orientation, by the way? You're forced into these labels because this Eden is not a beautiful garden. It is the place that consciousness forces itself to develop, right? Here is the deepest, clearest reading of those two verbs, which we've only went over abar so far, abad, sorry, which is translated as to dress. But Samir, to keep it, is how it's translated in a way that we're going to go over that so that you can see how it doubles down that this is a forced, that Eden is not a place of beauty. It's a place consciousness is forced into, okay? So we're going to go over the literal Hebrew meanings, which I already did a little bit for abad, the metaphysical function inside of your system, as well as why these two verbs reveal Eden as captivity and not paradise. So to dress, again, means, remember this, to till, to work, to cultivate. The root word of abad is the same word used throughout the Hebrew Bible. It means servitude, bondage, labor under a master, the work of a slave. It is exactly the verb used for Israel's enslavement in Egypt. It is not gentle gardening. It is compelled labor, forced labor. This is why your instinct is correct when you say, I didn't ask to be here. Your instinct is correct. There is something in you that's trying to show you the truth that I'm pointing out here, okay? We were placed, not born, we were placed into a system we didn't choose and asked to labor in it. In revived Kabbalah terms, abad, the resistance state, forcing the vibration into form. That's you. The human is compelled to maintain the construct of duality. Consciousness is bound to the field. The particle self must serve the cycle of birth, decay, and survival. Again, Eden is not paradise. Eden is a containment chamber for the emergence of an individuated consciousness. Now, let's go over the next word in that phrase that Adam was placed in the garden to dress and to keep it. So, to keep comes from a Hebrew word, um, les, les samra, which is from a root word, samar. Okay. Samar is traditionally translated as to keep, to guard, or to watch over. But at its core, samar means to preserve a boundary, to protect a system from breaking down, to maintain a structure that would dissolve without constant vigilance, to police the perimeter. Samar is the same verb used for in the Bible. It's used for guarding a king's treasure, guarding a prison, guarding commandments, and guarding a flock from predators, right? This is not spiritual devotion, this is containment. Samar, the conscience policing mechanism, which means conscience is policing your consciousness, by the way, okay? It's Samar is the psychic perimeter that prevents consciousness from flooding back into oneness. You can feel a state of oneness. You feel that we are all one, right? But what's preventing us from actualizing that in our physical manifested reality? The book says it's the Garden of Eden doing that. It's an enforced boundary that keeps the particle self from dissolving into the wave. It's the maintenance of duality, the continuation of the illusion of separation. In short, Adam is not placed there to enjoy Eden. Adam is placed there to maintain the illusion of Eden. So, what do we have in our world? If I wanted to, in all of my glory, walk outside naked and just walk down my block naked in nature, like every other animal, what would happen? What would happen, y'all? Wild guesses? I get a couple beep beep and hey, good looking. I get a couple of those, of course. Yes. Uh-huh. Good one, Magnum. Good one. Yes. Mm-hmm. And the mental programming, if I could go into that, um, Magnum, if I could go into the mental programming and how these stories are reinforced, you just pointed that out. You just pointed it out. How these cages are reinforced through movies, TV, books, etc. will blow your mind, okay? We should do a movie night with the lead. Oh my gosh. I thought about that, but I will tell you something. We would be stopping it every 2 seconds because you don't want to watch a movie with me. Because I analyze the movie completely through the lead at every turn, and it would take us at least 5 hours to watch a 2 hour movie. But maybe we could do that in person. We could have like a slumber party and just be up all night analyzing stuff, you know? Indecent exposure, yes. Thank you. I would be arrested for indecent exposure. And why would that happen? That would happen because one of my nice neighbors in this self-policing system would say, "Oh my God, Miss Wilson is walking down the street naked." Not only would they be mad because I have a banging hot body, okay, but they would be just called by their inner godhood, their Christian upbringing, to call the police and say, "She's naked." We have to do something about this, right? What I'm pointing out to you is it is a self-policing system. That is what to keep means. That Hebrew word samar means self-policing. Okay, so the police don't have to live here at my front door because my neighbor will self-police the boundary of this containment. Do you see? Self-policing. You see it, right? Boom. So what are these two verbs when we put them together, which are abad and samar? When we put those two words together, what do they tell us? Okay? Dressing means forced labor. Keeping means forced maintenance of the system. The pair together means maintain the system you did not create and cannot leave. This is what the book tells us about Gan Eden. It says that the awareness of humanity is placed in a system that it did not create, but it will self police. And it wants to escape it, but it will self police. It will make sure that you stay trapped. Yes, we are doing it to ourselves. When I tell you that we are more powerful than we know, we are more powerful than we know and cannot leave. You got that right until we do. But it's going to take a great pressure, a great force in order for us to leave. Because what happens? What happened with the Roman Empire? What happened with the Ottoman Empire? What happened with the German Empire? Okay? We just keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. And here we are at an opportunity because all this is about to burst, right? We are about to push through because you have the consciousness of people like us and the youth. You know, the text says that you should be led by the youth. Here's why. The youth is looking at the system. Have you ever wondered why more people are born today with things like autism, which gives people great pattern recognition? See, from the perspective of the language of the emanations of energy, that is not a problem. That is consciousness trying to overcome its own deficit. So it's bearing children who can see patterns and who are like, wait, this some bullshit. It's trying to break itself free. Do you understand? Let's keep going. All right. It is the first articulation of humanity's metaphysical captivity. You will work to maintain the cycle, abad. You will guard the boundary that keeps you inside the cycle, samar. Adam was placed in the garden to maintain the cycle and to guard the boundary that keeps you locked in it. Mm, mm, mhm, mm. So, what do we think? So we have consciousness, which in the story of Adam and Eve is depicted as Eve. Adam is the conscience, right? Or resistance to consciousness is what conscience is, right? Eden becomes the womb prison of emerging consciousness. Humans become the workers and guards of their own limited perception. The garden is not a reward, but the first cage of incarnation. This is why ancient people created myths of sky daddies and punishment, because they could feel the captivity, but could not see the architecture of the captivity. And that's why I'm here to lift the veil. We are in Oz, and we collectively are pulling back the curtain. We are revealing the architecture now through these lessons, okay? We are slaves to the garden of life. The Hebrew language supports that retelling of the story. Look up those words. I implore you, get a Strong's Concordance, use Blue Letter Bible, use a concordance online. Look up that Genesis. Prove me to be a liar. Please, I implore you. Look up Genesis, what was it, 2:15, I believe, where Adam was placed in the garden to dress and keep it. And then look up those words. Yeah, Genesis 2:15. Look up those words, look up their meanings, look up their root words, and see what it comes from. Hi, love. Good to see your face too, even though I only see your picture. Um, okay, so the myth supports what I've said. The energetic code of the language of the emanations of energy supports what I said. Adam in Eden is not the beginning of freedom. Adam in Eden is the beginning of labor, boundary enforcement, and the long imprisonment inside duality. And the serpent is the one who whispers, "You were never meant to be a slave here." In a previous video, I did a little skit where I said Eve was like, Adam, who told you not to eat that fruit? And he's like, Sky Daddy. Y'all remember that, right? That's what happens in the actual story. Consciousness, who is portrayed as Eve, so of course she's made to be the villain in the story, because remember, the book is telling you the truth. The problem is not the book. The problem is the way you've been taught to perceive the book. Your consciousness has been placed in a boundary to perceive the woman as evil, to perceive the woman as creating the fall of man. But that's not actually what happens in this story. What happens, it's not about a man or a woman, it's about consciousness. Consciousness comes on the scene and says, wait a minute, I am free. I can walk down the street naked if I want, right? And your conscience says, no, you'll go to jail. Your police, you'll get self-policed by your neighbors, right? Um, so any questions about Samar and Abad? Adam is not protecting Eden. Adam is preventing himself from escaping it. Samar is the conscience or perimeter enforcement. Girl, I always knew I call it Adam's apple. Y'all are funny. It's a psychic fence, okay? The mechanism that prevents return into wholeness or oneness. It prevents you from moving beyond duality, from black, white, red, yellow. Who has a hoo-ha and who has a ding dong? I cannot say it enough. Men are wombless women, and science is proving that more and more every day. There are all of these names and these lines that we've given each other are just used to separate us, right? So Adam is the conscience as a whole, which everybody has, that polices you and stops you from doing the thing. Like you walk down the street, and I'm training my daughter in this now. Yes, boxes. I'm training my daughter in this now. She's 17, and she's very shy. She's not like me, okay? She's shy. Don't worry, I'll get her out of it, maybe if she wants to. But what I teach her is when something comes up in you, say it, right? Say it, do the thing. So we'll be walking and someone will say, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty," because she is so pretty. And they'll say, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty." And she says, she doesn't even say thank you. She just freezes. And then when we get in the car or we're alone, she's like, "I wanted to tell her she was pretty too." And I say, "You should. You have to start practicing allowing consciousness to flow. And the only way to do that is to do it." So now, not all the time, but now when someone tells her that she's pretty, she will say, thank you at least. And then she will say, I like your outfit, or you're pretty too, or something to that effect, because she's pushing herself beyond the boundary of her consciousness, which makes her freeze and say, no, don't say anything, stranger danger, or whatever the thoughts are that go through her mind, right? But I'm teaching her how to walk in the world and be herself, right? And not be bound by the containment. And she's actually, we have Bear Wellness Center. We do these naked brunches with only women, um, because men ain't ready for that yet. Okay. But some men, most men. Um, my daughter has said this whole time, I want to go to a bear brunch, right? And I'm like, well, you can't. I have to wait till you're 18 because the self-policing system, I could get in trouble. So when you turn 18, which is in just a couple of months, you will be able to come to the bear brunches. But she's wanted to come because she meets the women that have been there. She hears their stories and how it helps them to overcome whatever their little thing is about their body. And oh my gosh, when you come to a bear brunch, all of that is dissolved by the force of the, not force, because it's not force, it's by the power of watching consciousness live freely in an environment. And it's infectious and contagious, and everybody wants to do it. You see? So I'm training her on how to not get stuck in these mental boundaries that we place on ourselves. Any questions? It's important to remember that these words, samar and abad, also keep the particle from dissolving back into a wave, for those of you that understand quantum physics. Without that shell, that Dalit resistance, right? Without that shell, all matter would dissolve back into waves of infinite potential. And that's the reason. That's the reason it was needed. Great minds think alike. See, we were answering and asking each other's questions at the same time. So do you see, even at the particle level, because everything vibes. So if you can find that pattern in one place, you'll find it everywhere. So even at the quantum level, the Garden of Eden or Gan Eden, this dangerous place, it's containing particles of matter. It is holding particles so that life as we know it, all these books, me, you, this here beautiful device I'm talking to you on that is way too expensive, by the way. Um, the system of Gan Eden to dress and to keep, or to hold enslavement within a boundary, is, or to hold something enslaved within a boundary, even can be seen on the particle level, right? Yeah, quantum. When you once you see it, and then you see it in the you see it everywhere, and it does. It helps me understand as well, which is why I love. I'm actually gonna go back to school for physics. Can you believe it? At 51 years old, I'm about to go back to school. Anyway, let's see. So, do we have any questions about what we've shared so far? Hi, all of the light. You just joined. Didn't you send me a message? Was that you that sent me a message? Because I responded before class to let you know it was in 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So this is a developmental captivity, by the way. And Magnum asked a great question. Now, here's the thing. So if we can see at the particle level why having this space of containment is important, right? Then it begs the question, now what? What do we do? Forgive me, guys. Just a second. as I started this out saying, I have both the flu and COVID right now. So my nose is running. That's why it's so red. I keep having to wipe it. You can feel the box getting tighter. Dun, dun, dun. So let's look at Eden in another perspective. Let's look at it as a womb, because the womb does the same thing. Bust it wide open. Listen, look, you and I are so in sync right now. Isn't this funny? Because I'm about to talk about the womb of Eden now. Have you went over the first five verses? No, of Genesis yet. Uh, kind of actually in class one and two. You missed that, maybe. I don't know. Right now we're on the garden and what it is and why Adam is forced to labor in it. Okay, so now, as Magnum said, we're going to bust it wide open, okay? Eden then becomes the force holding chamber between bait or containment and freedom, okay? The necessary containment, I would say, okay? Just like when I tell you that when you learn the language, you see it everywhere. Hopefully, as I go through this explanation, you will understand it because now you look at the womb. What I just described earlier about Gan Eden sounds very bad, very harsh. Who would do that? Why would we do that to ourselves? Why would we lock ourselves in a position where we are forced to labor and self-police and keep each other locked in duality and division, etc.? Why would we have to do that? Because we have not yet reached full potential. And remember, I started this off by saying that Gan Eden or the Garden of Eden is the most dangerous place in the world. And it is the place where the consciousness, the germ of humanity, is placed to be forced between an anvil and a hammer, as my teacher said. It cannot be allowed to settle or to rest. Why? Because it is still developing, right? If it gives birth to itself too early, premature birth of Aleph, it becomes an ape, a gorilla, a fish, a butterfly, which are all beautiful things, but they are all things that cannot self actualize. And that is the point of your existence. Your existence is for you to give birth to what? What do you think it is that you're giving birth to in yourself? Self-maintained, yes, they create the baby, exactly. So why are you contained? Why are you self-policing? More life, yes, but what kind? Evolved being, yes. What kind of being? You know that being as, I'm not going to tell you yet. Awareness, next, yeah. Next level of consciousness. Humanities is giving birth. How can I say this? The vastness of all creation. Imagine. Imagine the wisdom it takes to create gases and then turn those gases into single-celled organisms and primordial slime, right? And from that, for all of these different life forms to emerge from the hundreds of different crab species, for example, that live in the ocean, or the fish species, the protozoa, right? Imagine the wisdom that it takes to build those structures, right? right? Neighbor got it. Neighbor got it. Neighbor got it. We are giving birth to gods. That is what you are. When I say wake up and remember who you are, I am imploring you to remember that you are the consciousness that filled the oceans with all of those different types of animals and plant life. Do you see? I am trying to get you to remember that it is you. You have manifested yourself into the flesh. And you, all of these many, many thousands of years ago, began to use language and writing, and you had a story to tell yourself. You had a story that you wanted yourself to know, and you hid that story under a text called the Bible, called the Bhagavad Gita, called the Torah, called the what is it called? The I Ching, right? You've hid these stories for yourself and from yourself. You hid them under the tarot, right? And now you get it. Yes. Yes. Right? All of them are trying to tell you the story of yourself. And that's a that's a huge responsibility. And you'd be thinking, wait, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know anything about primordial slime. Well, listen, when you remember who you are, you will. I promise you. I am a ninth grade dropout, y'all. I cannot say that enough. I technically have an eighth grade education. It was remembering who I am that brought wisdom. I used to say, and this happens still to this day, and it's a lot. It's not painful, but it's a lot. Sometimes I feel as if the top of my head has been split open and information from past lives and galaxies that no person can even see are pouring. Sorry, I had to fix that. Are pouring into my head. Believe me, when you remember who you are, you will start to remember all of these many, many things that you contain, which is one reason why that I'm able to sit here in front of you today with the flu and COVID and yet not be moved other than just having to blow my nose every now and then and clear my throat, right? Because I know my power. I want you to know your power too. I want you to remember who you are. If you do not remember who you are, you will enact Nazi Germany here in the US and around the world. And we will destroy again. Do you understand the assignment? Because we've been here before. We've been here before. And we will be here again and again and again until we understand the lesson. And that lesson, learning that lesson, allows us to give birth to higher states of awareness within ourselves. You may know this awareness as God consciousness, Christ consciousness, etc. The Buddha, Krishna. And do you see? This means that, remember the negativity you probably felt, tell the truth. As I was going through the story of Gan Eden and what it actually is, did you feel negativity? Did you feel like a negative push against Eden, against what you've been taught about Eden? Now that you understand now that Gan Eden is the most dangerous place on the planet. It's the most dangerous place in all of the galaxy. You think we're going to find life forms out there that are in 3D matter? We're not. We're not, because this is the only place in the cosmos. That 3D life exists. So sad, so lonely, right? But when I talked about Eden, did it feel negative? You felt angry. Yes. Okay. Now, let me show you the flip side, right? I want to show you the underbelly. Remember how we used to think Garden of Eden was a beautiful garden and I showed you its underbelly? Now I'm going to show you the underbelly again because it's a constant vibe. There's a constant duality that's happening, and you have to be able to assimilate paradoxes in order to maintain your godhood in states of unrest, which means you must be able to see all sides of every story. Do you understand? So we just portrayed the Garden of Eden as the most dangerous place, right? But the Garden of Eden is also a womb. It's a place where life forms higher states. It reenacts all of the processes that consciousness over time has pushed through to develop a being able to self actualize. So go back gases, primordial slime, single celled organism, tadpoles, etc., 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 human, right? The womb goes through that evolutionary process again in 9 months for humans, right? And it becomes the womb is the Garden of Eden. That same place, what happens? The cell bursts. Well, I mean, let's go back. There's an egg. There's a little swimmer. The little swimmer comes up to the egg. The egg's like, I don't like you. Go away. Flee from me. Another little swimmer. Nuh-uh, I don't like you either. Get on out of here, right? And then finally, one blessed little swimmer comes to the egg, and the egg says, okay, you may enter. And it opens itself and allows just the head in and then clamps down, decapitating the little swimmer. And from this decapitation, all sorts of chain reactions, chemical reactions begin to happen, right? And cells begin to divide and split and divide and split and divide and split, right? It's the same fight, it's the same process happening over and over again, right? Eden, therefore, is the womb of consciousness. Does it make sense? Right? This is where consciousness is when it is not yet ready for freedom, okay? Because it hasn't developed the capacity to handle freedom. It's not able to self regulate, which is why I always say you must be able to assimilate paradoxes. This is why this is so important. This assimilation of paradoxes allows you to be in a world of turmoil, but self regulated. You know, the text tells us, the Bible says that 10,000 will fall at my right and 10,000 will fall at my left, but I will not be consumed. This is the state that it's talking about. And how do you get to that state? You must be able to assimilate paradoxes. So you must assimilate the paradox of being in a prison that you didn't ask for, right? Called the Garden of Eden, mistakenly thought to be the most beautiful place in the world, and everybody's trying to get back there, silly humans, right? But it is also a womb. It is a containment, a dalit. And if you know the language of the emanations of energy, what letter comes after dalit? You go through the containment process, the forced boundary, and then what happens next? The fifth letter, hey, which is life. Surprise! So you must be able to hold both of those natures at the same time. This is how duality collapses into oneness. You must be able to assimilate paradoxes. two opposing beliefs, Republican and Democrat. That's a jagged pill. The womb also requires you to, it forces you to mature while under pressure. Okay? Eden is where humanity forges its godhood. Do you see? Oh, my body is. Now, in future classes, we're going to go into the serpent in a lot of detail. Um, we're just going to go over something briefly right now. The serpent is necessary, it is not temptation. The serpent is information. I am playing the role of the serpent to you right now, and I'm whispering to your consciousness and to your conscience, and I am saying, develop, assimilate paradoxes, look deeply at what's happening around you. Because if you can see the truth and hold the truth, you will become God. This is the truth of the serpent. The serpent is wisdom. It's ancient, archaic wisdom. And this is why in all belief systems at one point or another, the serpent is seen to be a being of light or wisdom. Why is the serpent used on the medical staff? Assimilation of paradoxes. See, you must be able to hold integrated being, holding both sides, polarity. Yes. Awaken as serpent. Yes. The serpent introduces dimensional awareness. Hi, I'm Larissa, your friendly neighborhood serpent, here to introduce you to dimensional awareness so that you can actually see. This is what the language gives you. This is why Jesus says, let those who have eyes see and those who have ears hear. And when I was little, I would say, well, didn't they all have eyes and ears? So what the hell did he mean? I'm also offering you self-reflection beyond the containment that you feel, right? And the possibility of leaving the system. Because the only way to leave the system that holds you is to grow up. You have to self-actualize. You have to, or you will remain trapped as every forefather before you has been trapped in this, which is actually the most dangerous place in the cosmos. Okay? This is why the serpent must be vilified, because it threatens containment. This is why the story of, this is why the medical staff has the serpents twisted going up the staff, right? I thought serpents were bad, but it's used to heal. Why? Because the serpent is healing. The serpent represents healing and wisdom, okay? And that truth threatens containment. And if you understand those biblical stories in the way that they were originally manifested, then you know that the serpent did nothing wrong. The serpent said, listen, lady, you are slaves in his garden. Remember the words abad, to force labor, which is translated as to dress. Adam was placed in the garden to dress, force labor, and to keep it. Keep it means to contain a boundary, to police, to self-police, right? The serpent comes and says, hey, Y'all know y'all slaves, right? You know that you've given yourself over to a monetary system and you are just slaving your life away, right? You know that race isn't real. It's manufactured hatred, right? You understand that, right? The haves versus the have-nots. Like this is all just to keep you contained, right? That's the serpent's role. Make sense? We are slaves to the Garden of Life. And Eden is not where we fell from. It is where we are held until we are wise enough to climb the fuck out. Ting! The entire biblical story after this is about learning how to leave Eden without collapsing back into chaos. All right, beautiful people, we're going to take just a moment to silently integrate what we have discussed here. I say discuss and I roll my eyes because we really didn't discuss it. It's me talking. Although I am reading what you're putting in the chat for the most part. Okay. Let's take a moment to quietly uptake what we've just learned. All right, beautiful people. Any questions? I do have some questions for you, but I want to see if you have any for me first. All right, if nobody has questions, then I'm going to go into my questions for you. What boundary are you guarding that exhausts you? When birth happens, it's individual. On one hand, remember to assimilate paradoxes because you manifest reality. So if you change the world around you, which means it's also collective. So it's okay, neighbor. It'll be posted on my YouTube channel, Revived Kabbalah. You're scared of failure. Mm. Fear is a portal. You walk through or you stay stuck. So be afraid and do it anyway. I probably could tell you that your fear is not failure, it's actually success because who will you be without failure? You're used to it. It's made a home for itself in you. So I would say the real fear is what if I succeed? Who will I be? That's the fear of the unknown. Only anger for the things happening and feeling powerless or fearful to do anything. Well, you can do something about it in yourself. Not only in yourself, you technically actually can do something about it. And that brings us to the thing that I said I wanted to discuss at the end of class, which is what's going on in Minneapolis right now and how it relates to the story, but we'll get there. Yeah. Can I stay consistent with the success? No, that's the reality. No, but you can be successful repeatedly. Can you maintain success without failure? No, that's an illusion. So embrace the failure. I'm gonna fuck up. I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I have a ninth grade education, y'all. Do you think I really want to be on live? I actually don't like people. I like books, but I'm here doing it anyway. Do it afraid. Do it anyway. Or not, you know? I actually love people from a distance. Ooh, there's a lot to go over here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cover all of this. Are living but do not are living is it possible that some people in our lives are living but don't exist? No, it's the opposite of that. They are existing but do not live. Most of humanity exists but does not live. You can only live when you lord yourself, when you govern yourself, when you can assimilate paradoxes and you can see both sides and you can have love and hatred and balance yourself between them. And most people can't do that. They are just existing. 1v1 interactions, right? Ditto. Yeah. Good for you, Alicia. Same. And so people think I'm bitter because I don't allow them the space to dump their emotional garbage on me. I used to. I used to be a cesspool of other people's BS because I didn't know how to say no. But now I'm very good at saying no. It's actually my favorite thing to do. One of them. One of them. Anyway. All right. All right. So Cain and Abel is not a family story. I'll still pay attention um, to what you're saying. But I want to go over this so we can talk about what's going on in Minnesota. Your screen looks different. Can't see the comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, no, and I tell people before they even get to their whole dumping part, I got this little spiel, and I say, look, I actually tell people when I meet them, I am not the friend that you call when you need to talk about a problem. I am the friend you call when you want to fix a problem. Other than that, don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. And so I don't have a lot of friends. Anyway, Cain and Abel is not a family story, it is a land management story. Cain is the ground, Abel is the system favored abstraction. In Genesis, Abel's blood cries out from the ground, not from heaven. Notice, Abel didn't go to heaven. Surprise. That matters. Cain is not cursed for violence. Cain is cursed because the ground can no longer absorb the violence quietly. And that is what we are seeing happen in Minneapolis. The voice of your brother's blood cries to me from the ground, is what the text says. This is not moral language. This is ecology, physiology, and psychological language. When violence exceeds, when violence exceeds what the system can metabolize, the ground itself becomes unstable. This is Minneapolis. This is Ferguson. This is Gaza. This is every place where authority panics and calls its panic law. Law and order, for example, right? The Bible is explicit about who Eden is for. The Bible repeats one command dozens of times. Um, let's say on the conservative side, at least 30 to 40 times. It explicitly repeats this same process depending on the translation and the grouping. You are commanded to care for the foreigner or the stranger, the widow, and the fatherless. Now, the foreigner, do y'all know what that is? At least 30 to 40 times in that book, plus, depending on the translation that you're using. You are commanded to care for the foreigner or the stranger, the widow, and the fatherless, not spiritually, materially, politically, and socially. You are commanded to care for this person called the foreigner. Because you were once strangers, is what the text tells us. That is the psychological core. The moment a society forgets it was once vulnerable, it becomes able, favored, abstract, protected by ritual, while it feeds on Cain, the ground, the laborers, the bodies. So, what's happening right now, psychologically, is that this is not about immigration, okay? This is not about crime. What's happening in Minneapolis and across this country is not about policy. It's about the ego of our systems being under threat. And when systems feel themselves losing coherence, they tighten their borders, they escalate force, they redefine compassion as weakness, and redefine obedience as virtue. This is Abel demanding sacrifice. Remember, I've told you guys repeatedly in my videos that that book is a psychological book and it's talking about you, right? And what I want you to see now is that psychology is playing itself out as we watch on TikTok, social media, and TV what's going on in Minneapolis and different places around the country, right? Abel is demanding sacrifice. That's the system. Remember, Abel is the system. Cain is the one who escapes the system. The system says you must sacrifice blood to be a part of this clique. And Cain's like, fuck that. Not only are you going to eat this fruit because it's better for you, But I'm gonna kill that little mofo that is killing the sheep. Sheep are people, by the way. Sheep are people. And the tragedy is this: the system is eating its own foundation. Cain is punished for what Abel requires. The ground is blamed for the blood it is forced to absorb. Because Eden is where consciousness learns through pain, remember we said we didn't ask to be here earlier? We said, hey, we didn't ask to be here, right? Eden is not chosen, Eden is imposed. It is the womb where consciousness individuates through constraint, loss, and violence until it either becomes self-aware or collapses into repetition. And up until now, we just keep collapsing into repetition, okay? Minneapolis is not failing, it is revealing. The system is showing us exactly what it was built to do when it is afraid. All right? And here's a psychological truth that you need to hear about this story. Yes, Cain is punished for what Abel requires. And Abel is the system that requires blood sacrifice. Ting. Okay. When a society kills the vulnerable in the name of order, when it places them in cages, when it rips families apart, when it says little 5-year-old boys, Liam, was that his name? Have to go to detention centers, right? Because they're illegal. It has chosen Abel over life itself. Abel is that architecture, the system that says, in order to be a good Christian, we have to kill each other. Oh, okay, so Renee got shot. So Alex got killed. Right? We have to keep law and order. When the ground begins to cry out, because remember the text tells us that Abel's blood cries from the ground. When protest erupts, when rage resurfaces, when grief won't stay quiet, this is not chaos. This is Cain awakening. That is the earth refusing to keep absorbing blood for free. That is Eden reaching its breaking point. And that's what we're seeing in Minneapolis and Gaza and other places. So the message is, you're not cursed. We're not broken. We're not failing. We are escaping Eden. Because Eden was never a garden of peace. Eden was the testing ground of consciousness, the place where life learned what it costs to exist inside borders. Do you see? Do you see? You were told Eden was a paradise so that you wouldn't notice the chains. Eden is where humans are placed to labor and they're forced to work. They're forced to stay inside a system that requires that they cut flesh in order to live. It requires you to say, you're illegal, you're black, you're white, you're brown, you're this, you're that, you're that. The system requires it. Okay? And what we're seeing in Minneapolis is the ground, Cain, saying enough is enough. Remember, I told you that in previous videos that Cain and Abel, the story of Cain and Abel is a psychological story, okay? And Cain doesn't kill Abel, he kills vanity. The Hebrew word havel, that's translated into the proper name Abel, means vanity. Cain killed his own inner vanity. And then the text tells us he then goes east. East in the biblical terms, when read according to the code of the language, means he goes into wisdom. Remember when Jesus is born, where do the three kings, the three wise men come from? Where do they come from? They come from the east. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Yes, the east. The east is where wisdom lies, according to the code. That doesn't mean directionally, okay? Although it also does mean, remember, assimilate paradoxes. Think of the religions in the east, okay? Think of the teachings of the east. Think of the long-standing traditions of the east, the uninterrupted, uncapitalized traditions of the east. But that's for another day. Okay. And this is what you're feeling right now. This is what is happening right now. Okay. When one of your own is killed by authority, Renee, Alex, right? It's not an accident of policy. It's the old story repeating itself again. The system panics, fear hardens, and then they justify their use of force. Do you see? It's always the case, always in every story. Oh, he had a gun. Oh, I felt threatened, right? Oh, the Abels of the world. Oh, they go, oh my gosh, be afraid. Look what they did to me. I'm so innocent and virtuous. And oh my gosh. Did you see the gentleman clap as Alex was being shot? And the ground is asked again to absorb the blood quietly. That ground is you, by the way. Did I mention that? The ground of consciousness. But the ground remembers. Cain is not a man. Cain is the land. Cain is the laborer. Cain is the one who carries the weight of the system and is blamed when it cracks. Abel is not innocence. Abel is abstraction. Abel is order without empathy. Abel is the part of society that believes itself favored by God, law, and history, right? Isn't he the favored? Yes, yes. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing that you have to remember, Magnum. The book is about us. We are both Cain and Abel. You must be able to assimilate these paradoxes. You have vanity. You have vanity. We all do. Vanity seeks to fill itself, its own belly. But you also have a higher self. That higher self is called Cain. Cain, which is exactly why the story is told upside down. Remember, I told you the book is full of truths. The problem is not the book. The problem is the perception that you've been given about the book. You've been told that to sacrifice is better, to kill is better, to shed the blood of the innocent is better. That is Abel, right? Abel is order without empathy. Oh, I already read that. And when Abel feels threatened, Abel demands sacrifice. Enter Renee, enter Alex, enter countless bodies across the country that for now are nameless, faceless. Minneapolis is one of those grounds. There's different places, and I can't explain exactly why, not in this video, but there are different places that are um, that are centers of particular types of energy. Okay. And Minneapolis is one of those places. I'm from Minneapolis. How dare I? Do you see why I am the way I am? I come from those people. Do you see the connection? Do you see why I rebel against the bullshit of our systems and our religious ideologies? Those are my people. I grew up in those streets. There's a really, really good restaurant called Pimento, just steps away from where Alex was gunned down for nothing. Whenever I go to Minneapolis, I go there to eat. Those are my people. Do you understand my lineage? Surprise, right? And there are certain places, there's places like this throughout the world, okay? Don't think that Minneapolis is an island because it's not, okay? Minnetonka, what you know about Minnetonka? Let me back this up. Oh, Minnetonka. Okay. All right. Yes, Lake Minnetonka has great fishing, but that's for another day. All right. The Bible, your leader's quote, does not side with power, by the way. It sides with the foreigner, the illegal, right? 40 plus times. Remember that. Depending on the version of the Bible that you're reading, it says that you are implored to care for the foreigner among you, the widow, the fatherless. Over and over again, the text tells us the same thing. Care for the vulnerable because you were once vulnerable too. When a society forgets that truth, it turns Eden into a slaughterhouse and calls it security. And that's what we're seeing happening. Your grief is not disorder. Your anger is not evil. Your unrest is not criminal. It is the ground crying out because it can no longer metabolize the violence being poured into it. You are standing at the place where consciousness must either double down on fear or break the cycle. Amsterdam. What's happening in Amsterdam? Or is that where you're from? Is that where you are? Okay. That choice has always been made in Eden. Minneapolis is not alone in this pain, but Minneapolis is central to the revelation. Okay. Don't let them tell you that this is about immigration, that it's about crime, or about somebody being obedient. This is what happens. What's happening across the world, it's not only here, okay? I'm just saying Minneapolis because I happen to be from Minneapolis and we are here and it's all over the news right now. But it's not only here. I need you to understand what's happening right now. This is what happens when humans begin to remember who they are, when they begin to remember what it means to be a part of humanity. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing these two brothers war against each other. Do you understand? Hmm. So the serpent in this story is not a villain, it's a question. Will you remain a servant to the garden, or will you awaken inside of it and bust that motherfucker open? Wide open, in the words of my good friend, Magnum Opus. Any questions? Thoughts, questions? Does anybody want to come up? And I don't mean anybody, I mean somebody. If you'd like to come up and join the live, please send me an invite because I'm an old ass lady and I don't know how this shit really works. So I don't know how to send invites just yet. I'm sure I could figure it out, but whose brain has time for that? Just send me an invite and I'll add you. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for joining me, of course, here again. Last week I made 44 cents on my live. This is so cute. It's so cute. Funny. Anyway, uh, somebody, let's see. Yeah, except I'm not sure who, yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Please send me. You're welcome, Gutwise. It's okay. Yeah, that's good, KSF. The business meeting. Which business meeting? Which one? Oh, how long have we been on here? Almost 2 hours. Okay. That sounds about right. Because my body's starting to say, okay, lady, you do have the cold and flu. I mean, COVID and the flu. Go lay your ass down. So I've got 10 more minutes. She said, which one? Hmm? Oh, right. You're funny. You're funny. But it's true. I take a lot of business meetings, so I'm not sure which one you might be talking about. Um, all right. Well, thank you all for joining me today on this live. When you're out of town with the group. Yes. Yes. So it went wonderfully. It actually went wonderfully. It always does for the most part. Um, it Do you remember on the last live, I talked about rage against the machine then, rage against the system. Um, Rage does have a place, and we do well. There's a book, actually. Hold on one second. Oh, The Language of Emotions, What Your Feelings Are Trying to Tell You by Carla McLaren. As you can see, this book has gotten a lot of use throughout the years. There's a lot of underlines, there's a lot of note taking, etc. This book um, is great for helping you. There's a chapter on rage so that you can balance your rage and then use it to push against the places that need to get pushed in our society. Here, I'll hold it up. There you go. Hopefully that's a good screenshot. Did you get it? Hopefully. All right. Yeah, it's a really good book. And go straight to the chapter on rage. Bypass all the rest. You can come back to them at another time. Read the chapter on rage. It will change your life. Rage is a powerful tool for change, but you have to balance it first. You have to, well, you don't have to. You can do whatever the hell you want because you're a grown ass woman, a god, as a matter of fact. So you can do with it what you will, but I just implore you to maybe take a look at rage and the purpose of rage and why rage rises, so that you can understand what to do with that creature, because your emotions are living beings, by the way. um, and you can understand what to do with that um, living incarnation. All right, beautiful people, so next week we're going to talk a little bit about word versus frequency, um, so that we can dive deeper into some of the equations that are in the text and understand their frequency and the difference between language and energetic frequency and energetic pattern, and how to decipher the two and all that good stuff. Okay. Uh, that's all I have for you today. Um, oh, you found a new ladder. Okay, I'll take a look at it. Don't know that if I've seen it yet. Um, let's see. I may combine word versus frequency with my study on why literalism breaks the text, because when you understand those from the stories in the Bible from a literal perspective, it actually breaks the text and you're not able to use it in the way that it was intended. Um, you can't see how to request. Hmm, maybe you will force me to try. Hold on. Nope, that's not how. Come on, all you TikTok ears. Of course, it's showing me people to invite, but you're not one of them. Oh, and I don't. Let's see. Okay, I may have just figured something out. Let's see. No, can't do that. Yeah, I have no idea, y'all. I'm an old lady trapped in this body. You see the two people? Yeah, I see that next to the rose. Mhm. Red and blue? Yes, I see that. Tap that. Okay, I tapped it. And then what? Tap it and then what? Now I can't see you. Go push it. Okay, I push it and then what? Yeah, but there's no names there. If I push it, there's no names there. It says Larissa's Revived Kabbalah, go live with guests, and that's it. How do I? Yeah. Yes, I want to invite somebody, but I don't know how. Let's see. Nope, that's to share it. Mm, hit the pick and it will pop up. Okay, I'll try that. 'Cause I'm an old lady. Look at y'all teaching this old lady stuff. Now I gotta get real old and say, how you work this doohickey? These long nails, I can't push anything. Okay, so I tapped. Hmm. Okay, so it doesn't allow me. I don't know. Maybe you need a certain number of followers before you can ask the person to go live, because the name came up, but it doesn't allow me to invite. So I'll figure it out at some point, maybe, if I so desire. Hit their pick. So I tried hitting their pick, but it doesn't show anything with an invite. So, or you can make it a panel of boxes so they can just tap the box. Oh, they need a certain, okay. All right. Well, I tried to bring you up KKSF, which I know is not your real name. Oh, speaking of which, I got another book from you. What did I do with it? I don't know if it was before or after I went to Panama. I just remember a book. I have it here. Did I bring it home or is it at the center? I think it's here. Thank you. I haven't looked at it yet though. All right, beautiful people. Spiritual gangster. I like that. It's a great name. All right, beautiful people. If we have no other questions, I'm going to go back to my bed and recuperate from the beautiful gift that Panama has given me, which is really a beautiful gift because guess what? My family takes care of me so well. I just get to sit back and just relax. You're welcome. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you being here. And as always, I wish for you love, but not the kind of love that you're probably used to with the emotional triggers and all that. Not that nonsense, okay? I hope for you that you remember that you are powerful, and whoever you are inside, you manifest it externally in the world around you. That's the kind of love that I wish for you, that you know that, so that maybe you balance those inside parts out so that you're not projecting a world that's so chaotic and ugly. All right? Okay, beautiful people. Have a wonderful week. As always, thank you for joining, and good night, or good day, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world.